Yeah, and she's hot too. Wow. There we go. Yeah, that's better.
I just adjusted Derek on his.
There we go.
No, it was just because the whole like stream deck little thing was just there was no lights on. Yep. That's interesting. It turns off.
It turns it off.
Yeah.
It goes default off.
Oh. Yeah, okay. It just keeps sort of flickering on and off, that stream deck thing, but it didn't stop you. I'd be interested to see if when it goes off. Yeah, right. As well, because I guess it's just sort of an interface rather than it's the thing that's actually controlling the level, isn't it? Yeah.
And so that camera's working now also? Okay.
That's all right. Yeah.
How's my level sound? Do I sound all right?
You sound beautiful. Dawson.
Who we got? City and Cairns.
12 minutes away. Who's playing?
visiting the Gold Coast for the first holiday, I would say just beware because you might not want to leave. You might want to stay. So definitely a beautiful place to be at. The food, the people, the scenery is great. I would definitely encourage you guys to come out. Bringing your family here to the nice sanctuary is also just amazing as well. So I think it's just a great place. This has definitely been one of the best experiences that I've had so far at the Gold Coast. I would recommend everyone come out and check it out because I'm loving it so far.
Seeing the koalas with our little koalas.
The Sydney Kings get into the NBL Blitz action against the Cairns Taipans in Game 2 of Day 3 here on the Gold Coast. Joel Peterson and Derek Rucker with you to bring you the Kings' first foray into our pre-season tournament. And the Cairns Taipans, who are second up, coming off a loss against Melbourne United on opening night. D-Ruck, very good to see you. Good to be with you again.
It certainly is, and this Blitz has gotten off to a really good start, and one of the teams that many pundits around the league have as a championship favorite show what they're made of tonight, the Sydney Kings. Welcome back Xavier Cooks, Cam Oliver, the outstanding import who spent time with the Cairns Taipans a couple years ago. The Kings bring a real strong roster to NBL 25.
They are absolutely stacked, this Sydney Kings team, and not only are they stacked full of talent, but there's plenty of players who know how to make a highlight as well. Cam Oliver is right at the top of that list. You've got your #1 player in the league in Xavier Cooks. And we're looking forward to seeing what they can deliver for the Taipans tonight. There is no Taron Armstrong, so just a slight calf tweak on Saturday night, as we saw. He and Rob Edwards both went down late in that game. Edwards is out there tonight. No Taron Armstrong, so Jackson McCoy, who didn't play on Saturday night, gets to play against the Kings tonight. Be interesting to see how they bounce back off that first performance.
Yeah, I thought they looked solid the other night, and there are big-time raps on their guard, Rob Edwards, so it's actually a good opportunity for Rob Edwards to show what he can do with the ball. I'm sure he might play a little bit more of the point with Taron Armstrong out of this lineup this evening, so it should be a pretty exciting game. We know Cairns play up-tempo. They're fast. They play with a lot of energy. And they have a fairly young team. Sam Wardenberg's an outstanding player. He'll be looking to bounce back after a season last year that probably was a real sophomore slump type season for Sam. So a lot of talent out there, and let's see how this one shapes up.
Yeah, if he can just keep his confidence rolling and keep that flow going, Sam Wardenberg, we know that he's got so much talent. What are you expecting from the Kings? A couple of stifling defensive performances against New Zealand in their pre-season games. Is that what you're looking for in terms of their calling card this season?
Without a doubt, any Brian Goorjian coached team is going to really apply pressure on the defensive end. Now, I think he's probably modified his offense over the years, and I imagine this Sydney Kings lineup will look to play a lot more up-tempo basketball, but ultimately they want to create tempo off the defensive end. They've got a really, really deep lineup, some guys that have championship pedigree, and as we've mentioned a couple times already, just having Xavier Cooks, in my opinion, the #1 player in the competition, and also a guy with a big-time motor. And Joel, I think he is going to be really, really motivated to have an outstanding season now that he is the big dog for the Sydney Kings.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he goes tonight. I have a feeling like we might touch on that #1 rating throughout the call as well. It is the subject of plenty of debate here at the NBL Blitz, which is very good to see. We're here, of course, proudly supported by Experience Gold Coast at the Gold Coast Sports and Leisure Centre. So we've moved buildings from where we were over the weekend. And we're in the facility here as part of the High Performance Centre, co-located with the Gold Coast Suns. Their AFLW team was outside training a little bit earlier tonight. And of course, we've got the Squash Centre and the BMX park out the back. And there's plenty of junior basketball happening out the back as well with the local association. There's heaps of kids in the building, which is great to see.
Well, this venue here hosts a lot of Queensland state championships. And the Brisbane Bullets have played preseason matches here as well, so it's no stranger to elite competition. And Very balmy days up here already, Joel. How are you handling the heat? Because it's nice and cool and fresh inside here.
Loving it, Derek. Absolutely loving having a little bit of warmth and a little bit of sunshine. It has been a real joy to get around in the nice conditions. It's going to cool off a little bit later on in the week, but still sort of 23, 24, which is absolutely splendid in the grand scheme of things at this time of year. It has been very warm, though, earlier in the week, sort of 30, 29 the last couple of days, 26 or 27 today. But clear skies, and that's all we can ask for. And of course, being located indoors, we're pretty well set up for any weather conditions. Just about to get started in this one. The Kings and the Taipans. Bull Qual against his former team, of course. That's going to be an interesting watch tonight. And a couple of new faces in that Sydney Kings team. Rob Edwards, Kyron Galloway getting the start. Sam Wardenberg, Tanner Groves, and Pedro Bradshaw. The 5 for the Taipans. And for the Sydney Kings, as you can see on your screen, Bull Qual, Azalea Arthur, Sean Bruce, Xavier Cooks, and Khalil Pepe.
I thought Tanner Groves from the Taipans was solid the other night. Put up solid numbers, and I will look for Pedro Bradshaw to try and impact this game, because this is a very athletic Sydney Kings team that he's going up against, and you find out where you are really quickly against this team. If you can perform against this Sydney Kings lineup based on what we've seen them do already in the preseason, it's a great way to build some confidence going into Hoops Fest.
Absolutely it is. So Xavier Cooks strides out to centre court. Azalea for the former New Zealand breaker.
Support the Blitz here on the Gold Coast.
One number of new faces in this Sydney Kings lineup. Disappointing season for them last year, looking to bounce back to the kind of form we know they can deliver. Kyron Galloway stepping into that starting lineup for the Cairns Taipans with no Taron Armstrong out there.
And one thing you'll notice about this Sydney Kings team is they're not a tall team at any position. They're relatively undersized right across the board. And it's going to be interesting this season to see how this plays out against some of the taller teams in the competition, like a Brisbane.
Yeah, there are some big teams.
That's correct.
There's some teams with some real size. So underway here, the Snakes and Sydney. Haven't these two teams played a couple of absolute firecracker games in recent seasons? Edwards with a giveaway on the opening possession. Learfa locks him up. That could be a sign of things to come. Bull Qual, we know, has got some real tools on the defensive end. Denied by Galloway inside. Those two Cairns bigs are going to be so much part of what they do this season. Edwards denied by Cook, so a couple of good defensive possessions. Here comes Xavier.
Nice little give and go action there and in transition. And one of the challenging things for the Kings this season, even though they've had a decent amount of player continuity, there are some new pieces together. Isaiah Le'afa coming in there. He's got to figure out how to play with Xavier Cooks. Bull Qual, same thing. Kelly LePepe. Now, all these guys are talented and more than capable, but there will be moments early in the season where they're just out of sync and only time can help.
Welcome back, Xavier Cooks. Got a feeling we might see that once or twice throughout the course of the year. He hasn't wasted any time getting involved. Another good defensive possession for the Kings. LePepe without hesitation.
I really like LePepe's touch, which is quite deceiving. When you look at his body, you think he's going to be a brute, but he's got some finesse about him.
Groves on the second attempt.
And that's where he's going to have to really get things done. Offensive glass, hustle, effort plays throughout the season for the Taipans. They kind of lacked that last year.
Leafa stroking it early. Adam Ford has seen enough early doors. 2 minutes in. And Fordy wants to talk about it.
Well, I think he's disappointed with the quality of look that Sydney are getting. They had turnover 2, and this one right here is just a nice move. Bradshaw finding out all about Xavier Cooks in an ISO situation. One of his favorite moves, sets you up on the right, cross it over to the left. But Adam Ford, this is about habits, and he wants his team to understand what's acceptable. Standards and expectations, that's what this huddle is about right now. We get into regular season play in just 10 days, Joel.
Yep.
There's not a lot of time to try and figure things out on the fly. I mean, you can do that at your own peril early in the season, but if you jump out 0-2, 0-3, 1-4, we know historically what that means for your season. It's pretty much a wrap.
It's a long way back from anything like that is for sure. So Bookwell new to this Sydney Kings team tonight. Cam Oliver new as well. Tyler Robertson a new face. So too Leafa. Xavier Cooks returning. Jason Spurgeon is new. And Kelly LePepe, another new face for the Kings. We won't see Jalen Adams tonight. He's in the Civvies courtside. Leafa with the block. They've turned it up to start the Kings. Making their presence felt on the defensive end, which is no great surprise. Wardenberg. Like to see that from him without hesitation. Speaking of, Isaiah Leafa.
And this is one of the reasons why I think the Kings are so dangerous. They have some role players in Leafa, Sean Bruce, guys that understand what their role is, and they're happy to do whatever's on offer. Rob Edwards continues to impress. He's a nice penetrator, but the Kings just have that balance, and guys like Bruce and Leafa are just going to be sitting out on the three-point line with easy opportunities most of the season. Bull will be disappointed with his defensive effort there.
He got going on Saturday night in the latter stages, Rob Edwards. Misses the foul shot.
Good, strong body. Tough to keep in front of you.
Cooks underneath, gets fouled. They call him the microwave for a reason. He showed it on Saturday when he got hot very quickly. And Xavier Cooks will go to the line. See him there on the left. The 1 and 2 player in the competition, according to our man Derek Rucker. Of course, you can watch every game throughout the course of the season live via ESPN on KO Sports. And on Sundays, free-to-air. NBL is back on 10 and 10 play. September 19, it all starts with a grand final rematch. So much basketball coming your way. Cooks has fresh aired the second foul shot. Happens to the best of us.
That always produces interesting reactions from your own team. Look at the Sydney Kings bench. They're having a little bit of a chuckle.
Wry smile from Xavier as well. Groves putting it on the floor. Impressive move. Galloway couldn't finish. Former teammate here as Bookwell backs down on Sam Wardenberg.
Now, he's a guy that I think is going to be one of the most privileged players this season in the competition. He'll learn a lot from Brian Goorjian. He'll learn just from playing around a bunch of championship winners. And he's a guy who I've said in the past that I believe has what it takes to play in the NBA. And that's what he can really do right there, is line it up and shoot the 3 ball. We've seen him convert at over 40% from the 3. Got excellent size. All he's got to do is just learn the game a bit more and develop from a schematic point of view and a control, emotional point of view.
Bradshaw from outside can't hit. Nice find from Wardenberg. Groves on the second attempt again.
Joel, I like big men just around the rim.
Yeah.
That puts pressure on defenses when you know that guy he's opportunistic. He's already had 2 or 3 tip-in opportunities in this game.
Leafa and Cooks can't connect. Edwards from outside. Do you think Brian Goorjian can maybe just dial down the foul trouble for Bullquall as Leafa misses? Because that's been the thing. It's always been the one thing, is we know the intensity and the energy he plays with, but he just needs to be out there to play with it.
Well, I think so. There's no doubt that I imagine Bullquall's probably heard enough about his inability to stay out of foul trouble. And if Brian Goorjian can't get it under control, I think he might be a lost cause. But I think you're going to see an improved version of Bullquall, no doubt.
On this Sydney team as well, where they've got so many defensive weapons, maybe he can keep his nose a little bit cleaner than he could have at Cairns, where he was the sort of the attack dog of that defense.
Yeah, and the performance burden is lessened with all the talent on this roster. So he doesn't feel like he has to go out there and defend the best guy every night.
Which we know he's capable of.
Yes.
But he can do it in spurts, and they've got no shortage of other options who can as well. Sean Bruce leans into Wardenberg and gets a call. Some reinforcements in for Sydney. Kuatnoi, who's had a number change in the off-season, swapping the 21 for the 1-2.
And Sydney have been stifling defensively thus far in the preseason, doing a number on New Zealand twice. And any head coach is going to be very pleased if that is your initial point of excellence. The defense will always keep you in the game. And
46-point win over the Breakers, holding them to 70-odd in that first of the 2 preseason games they played.
And we saw one of the worst defensive teams in NBL history last year with the Sydney Kings. So definitely an area in which they want to just change the fortune significantly. And I know it's only preseason, and the offenses aren't always up to speed, but the signs are there, and the intent is there, and I'm sure the scheme will, and the coverages will be there.
And the intent is as much what we needed to see as anything based off last year, when at times they looked pretty disinterested at that end.
I would say they were completely disinterested.
I was trying to be nice. Speaking of nice.
Yeah, gets to the rack again.
He's an impressive operator. He's Rob Edwards. He had a little bit of a tumble on Saturday night and sat out late. As Melbourne United rattled home, but he's good to go here.
Cairns are getting the shots off. 4 of 16, though, from the field. Sydney are 5 of 10. Edwards off to a good start with 5 points.
It's a good sign. Here's Noy from the corner. He can't hit. AK Gack out there at the moment.
I like AK Gack. Rangy, tall, athletic.
Jackson McCoy making a nice move to the hoop.
40 does a good job of finding guys with points to prove or early in their development who might be able to come in and make a contribution. And I probably didn't focus enough on this Cairns team as Leafa's lined up another one. Now knocked down his third three for a quick 9 points. He must feel like every day is his birthday playing for the Kings.
Edwards right back at him. It's dinner time and the microwave is on. He's cooking early. Bradshaw try and find him here. Goes himself, denied by Oliver. The human highlight machine. I feel like we're going to see a fair bit of the Sydney Kings clicked up on the NBL socials this year between Cooks and Oliver.
Yeah, wait till they really, start to get a really good feeling for one another.
Malawatch now, he buys in.
Now, he was someone last season who I thought deserved more playing time. One of the few guys that was bringing consistent energy anytime he hit the floor. He was always productive. And I wouldn't be surprised if he features in moments for Brian Gorge. And obviously this team is a bit more talented than last year's team. Noy tries to get to the rack.
9.5 minutes, 21 appearances for him last season. But when he was out there, he shot it at 52% from downtown. A really nice clip. Edwards can't connect that time. But he was one who, especially late in the season, found a little bit of a bigger role for Mahmoud Abdel Fattah, the now departed coach of the Kings. Good defense from Antonio to get a hand in on Noy. And McCoy ran into all kinds of trouble there. Tyler Robertson out there for the Kings, another of their recruits. He was high school teammates in Melbourne with Kalu Lepepe and then went and spent a few years at the University of Portland. Very highly regarded. So Sydney by 7. Cairns Taipans tickets are on sale now. You can scan the QR code on your screen to get involved in the fun in the Snake Pit. Always a terrific atmosphere up there, Derek.
Oh, that place jumps. And they get in there early. There are rarely any empty seats. It's hot. It's orange.
It's humid.
I won't be up there on the sidelines this year. I'll miss it. Not sure they'll miss me, but...
I miss your storm reporting. That's what I miss. D-Ruck Weatherman was a nice little chapter.
But yeah, they've got a great support up there. Mark Beecroft does a great job running the show up there. Bradshaw.
Good hit.
Little jab action, raises up, knocks down a 3. He's played in the G League, knows what it's about at a pretty high level. And Galloway shows something that he's picked up overseas. He responds with a 3-ball.
Good to see him back. As much as we liked the NBA opportunity for him. Nice to see Jalen Galloway back. The two brothers out there at the moment. Antonio with the quick release. Maybe had a little bit more time than he thought on the shot clock. Winding down in this opening term. Quet Noy buries a 3. And the Kings have hit 6 in the opening frame.
Well, that would drive Cairns coach Adam Ford crazy. And they've been pretty good looks. And Joel, that's actually number 7. 7 of 12 from the 3-point line. Both teams have really found the range.
Haven't they what? This remarkable shooting in this opening frame. 10 3-pointers we've had so far. Can we get another one? McCoy's just going to drive it down and find Gack underneath. So a good end to the term for the Snakes. And they get it back to a 4-point ball game at the end of one, 27-23. Adam Ford straight out to his charges.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're now tuned into the sounds of DJ.
It's rather emotive there is the Cairns coach, as
no
he
doubt.
often is.
And I think he is a coach who is highly motivated this season to get more out of his team. As we look at the first quarter highlights, Dave Cook's doing his thing, and the Kings just being able to penetrate and pitch a lot in this first half. Liafa being on the back end, a lot of those knockdown threes. And Edwards with an outstanding display in the first quarter.
Kings hitting 7 threes.
Yeah, and we saw Adam Ford approach his team and address his team early. I was watching Brian Gorgon, and he didn't look terribly happy with the slip-up in the final third of that first quarter. They had them locked down. They had them on 6 points with 4 minutes to go in the quarter. And the Taipans ran off 17 points in the final 4 minutes.
You know, that's where their bread's going to be buttered this year at the defensive end. Day 3 of the NBL Blitz, game 2. Earlier tonight, Adelaide with a big win over Tassie, 96-64. They played pretty much their whole group, the 36ers, and rolled away to a very nice win. DJ Vasiljevic getting hot late in the piece. Tomorrow, 2 more games, Brisbane and Melbourne. Illawarra and Perth, and Stu Lash, one of the head honchos of basketball for the Brisbane Bullets, is going to join us a little bit later in this quarter. It'll be good to get his thoughts on how the Bullets are shaping up heading into NBL 25. Joel Peterson, Derek Rucker with you. We're here proudly supported by Experience Gold Coast at the NBL Blitz, the Gold Coast Sports and Leisure Centre. Tanner Groves having an extended chat with Kerry Williams as he takes a seat at the end of one. Oliver, Galloway, Bruce, Cooks and Qual out there for the Kings. Xavier gets the shooter's roll.
Outstanding action in that first set out of the quarter time break. They go some weave action, a kickback, find one of the best penetrators in the league, and he makes a play. Xavier Cooks as Antonio leaves that one a little bit short.
So it's been the subject of discussion, Ruck, and I have to ask, let's talk through the Xavier Cooks at number 1. Why do you think he's the number 1 player in the competition?
Firstly, as Galloway gets a little post feed to go. Xavier Cooks, when he last played here in NBL 23, was the MVP and arguably the best player on that championship team. Some might say Derek Walton Jr. I'm going to go with Xavier Cooks. I think in our league, undersized 4 men, if that's a technical position he's playing, do extremely well. And I think he's highly motivated this season based on some other things that have happened in the offseason. And he's at that age. He's 28, 29 years old. He's right in the prime of his career. I don't see anyone in this competition at the position being able to stop him from being successful. And one of the key points and one of the beauties of playing this game is when you have control over your own success. And I think he has more of that than Bryce does at the moment for different reasons. I think Bryce's team probably has a few more holes in it than the Sydney Kings do, and that may limit Bryce's success. But he is a brilliant player, Bryce Cotton. And as a purist and as a fan of the game, he's probably my favorite player. He is my favorite player. We love watching Bryce Cotton play, but I've just got Xavier Cooks just slightly ahead of him.
Oliver goes upstairs and finishes on the lob. Is there a degree of sort of, when you come up with the rate, is there a degree of that forecasting that goes into it? So, like, how are you judging it for those who, because you talked about it on the podcast with Jack, you can get that on the NBL podcast feed as well, so the full explanation of the top 15. I really enjoyed listening to that and getting your thoughts and your explanations of it. But sort of how does it land in terms of the criteria, if you like?
You're right. there's a bit of projection in it because it is a preseason list on how guys kind of either sit currently or how I see them fitting in. Cam Oliver was able to make the list based on what I saw. Imports who have played here, they probably get a little of a bump up, they get a slight advantage. In general, if I have a local player who is, say, commensurate with an import player, the local player is going to get the advantage because a local player who's talented adds more versatility and flexibility to your lineup. But it is a very difficult project, but one ultimately that I'm very proud of, has worked out well and has generated a lot of emotion from a lot of different people.
Do you enjoy it? Do you enjoy the process?
Yes, it's look, I spend a lot of nights going through it and waking up and thinking about something and going to check stats and also, like, who draws crowds? Who makes people watch games? So someone like Chris Golding, who is a legitimate star, not only a basketball star, but he carries himself like he's a star. That means something for the overall scope of the league. It means something for your team. And only a few players in the league have that.
I meant to ask you this the other night, actually, during the Tassie game. Joel Peterson, Derek Rucker with you. Kings by 6 early in the second period. Stu Lash from the Brisbane Bullets to join us soon. Jack McVeigh, we saw him at the end of the season last year. If you were putting him in the list, did you have to map out where he would have fit? Do you have an idea of where Jack McVeigh would have sat in the list?
Jack McVeigh was an interesting one because early in the season, I said on NBL Now that he was a top 5 player. And there was a lot of voice.
That ended up looking pretty good.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah. I had nothing to do with it, but yeah. But at the, where he was coming into this season, he's definitely a top 5 player. I would have him ahead of Golding.
Really excited to see what he gets to do for the Houston Rockets. Here is number 1, Xavier Cooks.
Oh.
Acrobatic, inventive type of finish. Didn't quite work for him. If anyone was going to make it work, it'd be Cooks. He couldn't get it to on that occasion. No Alex Tui for the Kings as well tonight, so just keeping him a little bit fresh. A little bit of an...
No next stars in the game. Is that why Liam isn't here?
I think Mr. Santa Maria is floating around somewhere. Daniel Moldovan told us yesterday, actually, Alex Tui wasn't going to play. Saw him in the lift this morning at the hotel. He's pretty relaxed, heading down for a Next Stars photo shoot in those new Sydney Kings uniforms, which, gee, they look very good even in person. They look great on the screen. They look good in person. Timeout, 7:15 remaining in this second period. Day 3 here of the NBL Blitz. The Sydney Kings 35, the Cairns Taipans 26. Of course, you can see Kyle Adnam at the back of the huddle there for the Snakes. So no Kyle Adnam tonight. So no Adnam and no Taron Armstrong. So Jackson McCoy comes in to shoulder the load sort of at point guard with Edwards, and it's a little bit of a juggle for Adam Ford at that one spot.
Well, right now, Ford is getting good productivity from McCoy and Edwards. McCoy's come off the bench, 3 points, but he's dished up 4 assists. And that's a very significant stat. And something that they didn't have a lot of last year was ball distribution and guys looking to make other players better. And if Jackson McCoy is able to do that, that would certainly guarantee him an ample amount of minutes per game, because I'm sure Ford is trying to find lineups, and he's going to need someone to come in off that bench and provide some quality minutes at the point guard position.
Joel Peterson, Derek Rucker with you at the NBL Blitz. And great to be joined by Brisbane Bullets Senior Basketball Advisor Stu Lash. Stu, thanks for your company.
Thank you.
How have you enjoyed your time on the Gold Coast so far?
It's never a bad day on the Gold Coast. I'm so happy to be here. It's great when the entire league's in one location. It's a lot of fun, great basketball, great way to kick off the season.
Now, what did you make of your first up performance the other night?
It's good effort. You know, really pleased with where we're at, where we're headed. True togetherness of our team right now. A lot of connectivity. The playing group just really gets along. Coach has done a great job outlining what he expects from everybody, and the leaders of our group are the ones setting the table throughout that preseason. And yeah, I mean, still a lot of areas to improve and get better, but I like where we're at this point of the preseason.
We called the game. Myself and Ruck, and we were impressed by the organisation, the way things looked like they fit together. Are you pleased with the roster build and how the pieces have fallen into place?
I am. A couple keys. I mean, we've had our guys here for a little bit, so we've gotten a good jump on things. We played a couple of preseason games before we've even gotten here, so we've been tested. A couple small injuries along the way, but nothing that's going to really impact our regular season. So just fighting through that.
And the big news in the offseason, other than player signings, is the fact that the Bullets will be playing the home games back at the Brisbane Entertainment Center in Boondall. What led to that decision? And we haven't started the season, obviously, but the feedback has been very positive throughout the community, and that's kind of been reflected in corporate interest, revenue, however you may want to describe it.
Yeah, no, it's real exciting to make that move, and I think as we went through the year last year, it just felt like we outgrew Nissen, right? It was a great environment, and it could get really loud in there, but as Brisbane's the third largest city in Australia, and we've put the organization in a position that it was just time. It was time for that, so we're real excited about that. To be in a place that can hold upwards of 8 to 10,000, real exciting for us. And our commercial team has a lot of fun initiatives planned to kick that off. So we're really looking forward to it.
So I imagine you guys have gone through all the numbers. And what would make you feel good on a nightly basis out there? Because this is what the next big question is: how many people are they going to draw? My gut tells me if you're getting 8,000 a night, that would be amazing, and generate a great fan experience, and perhaps create a home court advantage.
Totally, and I don't want to put like a number on it. It's a fluid process, but I think the most.
You don't want to, but feel free to.
Yeah. You can talk to Malcolm about that. He'll have more details on that. But I think the most important thing is just embracing what the community wants and getting that retention, right? We don't want it to be, it's a great thing, go see a game, and then not come back.
You want it to be routine and not novel.
Correct. That's a great way to look at it. And we think we're going to be able to do that. And it starts with the type of team we put on the floor, a team that our community can really relate to. We've done a great job of getting into the community during the offseason, promoting the Brisbane brand. Our new high-performance practice facility offices in South Bank just give us a presence in the city that we haven't had in quite some time. And then, you got to put a quality team on the floor. And hopefully the fans understand what we're trying to do, respect the efforts that the players are putting forth. It's a hard-playing group that, night in and night out, like, we're going to compete. We're going to be in games. It's up to the guys to obviously execute and close it out. But feel really comfortable about the makeup of the group that we have.
What did you try and address? What were the key things, the key factors for you in recruiting for the off-season? What were you looking for?
There's a couple of things. Shooting. You're watching Sydney now. It's just, the pace of the game is so fast. So the areas that were really a focus was, just improving our perimeter shooting, putting a bit more athleticism and versatility on the wing. And then, in the backcourt, having guys that can really impact from a scoring perspective. I love what we have in the front court. So just, the additions of some of the guards and the wings that we've added, a lot of depth throughout that group.
There have been three things, Stu, that I've really liked this preseason. I like what I've seen from Deng Adele. Yes. I like the progress just in a few weeks that James Bateman has made.
Yes.
And I've also liked what I've seen from Casey Prather.
Yes.
Can you touch on those?
Sure. So, on Dang first, he's a guy that obviously was in this league, maybe didn't have a lot of success early on, goes elsewhere, refines his game. the blessing for us with Dang was Dang's been playing like all year, so he came in like shot out of a cannon, you know, in tremendous shape, really like a chip on his shoulder, something to prove. And we just didn't have an athlete on the team like him. I mean, somebody that can literally probably guard 4 positions in this league, you know, be a factor in transition, improve our pace of play. So we couldn't be happier with him. In terms of James, you know, the point guard position was certainly a point of emphasis for us to improve from last season. And, you know, James, he's figuring out the league. I think he's understanding that the point guard spot in this league is where all the great teams really make their mark. And, you know, sometimes his natural inclination is to play that position, quote, quote, the right way and get everybody involved. And I think as he's figuring out, there are times where, you know, we need him to take over games. And we saw that in the Tazzy game the other night where, you know, there was a few moments where that game might have been teetering a little bit. And I think he seized that moment, put his foot down, and closed out the game for us.
And the Kings have just knocked down their 10th three-point shot.
Unbelievable. I mean, just firing away. It's really, really impressive.
And Casey Prather?
And Casey, I mean, you know, just for him to come back in, you know, to this league and, you know, going to have the impact that he has, healthy, hungry, motivated. The depth that we have does lessen the pressure a little bit on what we need. And like credit to a guy like Dang, Keandre Cook, Sam McDaniel coming back. You know, Casey's going to be able to provide us not just the veteran leadership, but, you know, in those moments, just how to play the right way. You know, his game has really gotten refined over the years, and the shooting is at a different level than it was 4 or 5 years ago. You know, he's worked really hard on that part of his game, like mid-range, play in the post a little bit, not just be so reliant on his athleticism. And I think you saw that the other night. I mean, how good is it for him to come out and make his first 2 shots and catch a dunk? It's like, you know, he was nervous in the morning. He was like a little kid a little bit. And, you know, he's just a great person, true leader for our group.
And putting together, we look at the amazing free NBL app, Joel.
Download that direct to your device. See plenty of you on there, Derek. Get all the podcasts, the top 15, video content, all the live scores, stats, everything you need to follow the NBL this season. I like the stats on NBL Plus, though, Joel.
Yes. That's what I like.
Can get NBL Plus through the NBL app as well.
When you put together this team in the offseason, sorry, I should mention Justin and Malcolm, you guys all work together, obviously. Did you look at other teams? Did you look at Tasmania as LePepe gets to the rack? Did you look at them and say, hey, we need to be like them? Or was it a matter of you guys building your own roster and saying, you know what, we don't care what anyone else around the league is doing. This is the personnel we want to suit how we want to play the game?
It's a good question. I think it's probably a hybrid of both. I mean, the teams that are successful in this league have been successful for a long time.
That's true.
And, you know, I think there is a formula, and that formula tends to be secure that local base. Get those guys, you know, retain them, build around that, and then you know, you go import shopping a couple months later, you know, and you really then know what you need. So, you know, Tazzy's a great example of what they've done. You know, they built that from the ground up. You know, their culture is as strong as anybody's. And, you know, their pieces really fit and complement each other. And so that's what we were looking for. And, you know, bringing back guys like Tyrell Harrison and Josh Bannon, Sam McDaniel, Norton. You know, we certainly had some turnover, you know, on the imports and with Nathan leaving. So, you know, we felt we had to address, like, our offensive punch. But knowing that, like, our core, we really felt good about. And, you know, couldn't be happy with a guy like Tyrell Harrison. I mean, the work that he's put in over the last year or two to put himself in this position, you know, I think he's going to be one of the best bigs in the league this year.
He's in a really good spot. Stu Lash from the Brisbane Bullets is with us. One more before we let you go, Stu. Sam McDaniel we haven't seen yet. Sounds like he's close. Do you think we'll see him here on the Gold Coast?
It sounds like it. I mean, we play tomorrow night, and then we don't play again until Saturday. So just being a little cautious with that. You know, if this was the regular season, you'd probably see him out there. So just knowing that, you know, we know what Sam's about. Sam knows our system. You know, his injury is more of a contact injury, so you just got to be a little cautious with it. But he practiced today. full contact, looked great. So he's chomping at the bits to get out there for sure.
Coming off a really strong off-season and had a great start to last season as well. Yeah. So hopefully he can capture that. We're looking forward to seeing the Bullets again in action tomorrow and again on Saturday, and we'll be there for round 1 in Perth, of course, when you take on New Zealand as well. Thanks for your time, Stu. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate all the support. You guys do a great job with all the coverage. So I'm based in the States, so I'm following you guys, all the time, and it's great.
Thank you.
Good on you. Stu Lash from the Brisbane Bullets joining us here on the NBL Blitz. Joel Peterson and Derek Rucker with you late in the second term. Kings by 6. The Bullets in action tomorrow against Melbourne United in the early game here at Gold Coast Sports and Leisure Centre. Proudly supported by Experience Gold Coast. Illawarra and Perth is the late game in the afternoon. Tyler Robertson gets that to go. Liafa's got 12 for the Kings. He leads them in scoring. He's 4 of 5 from downtown. They are 10 of 17, the Kings. The Taipans at the other end are 4 of 20. Rob Edwards has 14 points on 5 of 9 shooting. He's been dynamic. Liafa for number 5. That one's a little bit short. Pedro Bradshaw with another rebound, number 6, I should say, of the game for him. Galloway inside, able to get it to go.
And Kyron Galloway is someone who is a very talented big with versatility. We saw at the end of last season for the 36ers, he really shot the 3-ball well. And a great pickup by the Taipans. If they can get him locked in and focused on being better every possession, he's a real steal.
Going to be a Sydney ball here. So late in this first half, Kings by 7. Nice to see the great Damien Martin in the house. D-Ruck in the corner. We might try and see if he'll come wander over and have a chat to us in the second half. Depends whether he's on official business or not. He's got that many businesses, he may well be. Here's Cam Oliver at the line. Looking forward to seeing much more of this man this season.
That was a nice move he made with his back to the basket. Gave it a little bit of a Olajuwon shake. Got into a fadeaway.
Remember calling him in his first go-around with the Taipans, of course. Man, can he throw it down?
And looks a lot stronger than the last time he was in the league. That happens naturally often when players just get to the late 20s. A little bit of man muscle on you. We're still waiting for that to happen to us, Joel.
To me, particularly, Derek. I think you're going okay, but I think I'll be waiting a while. Might have to get some delivered or something. Tanner Groves at the line. Showed some flashes on Saturday night. And put the ball on the floor for a big fella. And if he can provide a bit of outside shooting with Wardenberg, that could really open things up for them.
Well, he's solid again tonight. He's got 7 points and 6 rebounds. We see how much pressure he puts on the offensive glass.
Oliver has that one poked away.
And remember, there are a few teams that have a significant advantage, or going to play them is uncomfortable. And the Cairns Taipans are one of those teams. Going up to Cairns is a really tough road trip. You get up there, it's hot. Noy lets one fly and ring it up. 3-ball number 11. Claude Noy from the corner. But you go up to Cairns, get off the plane. It's at least 34 degrees. 85% humidity. You want to go to the pool. You feel like you're on holiday. That edge that your coach worked on creating all week has been minimized the moment you step into that heat. Perth is another team just on the travel. You fly over there the day before at the latest. But I can guarantee you most players, especially from the East Coast, you're waking up game day at 5 a.m. That's not good.
When you're 6'6", sitting in a plane for 4 hours. I can't relate, but I can't imagine it's all that comfortable.
And then you're dealing with one of the greatest ever in full confidence mode in front of the Red Army. That's never fun.
No, it is not. Fun for the Red Army.
And then I think the other one is Tasmania. They've got a really good home court. Oh, my!
Oh, Jalen Galloway! What a return to the NBL for that man! He roars after he throws that down. A vicious slam. It's got this Gold Coast crowd going.
Well, we saw a few of these last year at Kudos Bank Arena. And he just sent a fresh reminder to the NBL. Don't feel sorry for me. Well.
Counting down in this first half. Pedro Bradshaw to have the final say. Kings by 11. Trying to put the moves on Bruce. Rises up, won't go. And Sydney, 56, lead the Snakes 45. They started out hyped at the defensive end, the Kings, creating some real chaos on that end of the ball. And they end it with a thunderous Jalen Galloway jam that hands them an 11-point lead heading into the half. Cam Oliver's vocal as they walk past us into the tunnel, trying to provide a little bit of energy as they head into half-time. Let's take another look at the Jalen Galloway hammer.
Turns that corner. And Tanner Groves, welcome to the NBL.
He sized him up, didn't he?
And this is what Galloway's really good at, slashing, elevating, and throwing it down. And there will be a lot more laneways and opportunities like that throughout the season, especially when they get Jalen Adams back there. There'll be all types of lanes for him to exploit and finish athletically on the rim.
Well, we know they can both do it. Both of the Galloway brothers, they're out there tonight on either side of the equation, and I think Jalen's just got the bragging rights as we go to half-time between he and brother.
Well, Jalen's also an NBL champion and someone who's been in the NBA, spent a minute over there with the Bucks on that two-way deal. Unfortunately, wasn't able to stick, but it's not the end of his NBA journey yet. He's still a very young man, and with that type of athleticism, he will draw attention from other teams.
So an 11-point lead to the Sydney Kings here at halftime. They have hit double-figure three-pointers. It's been a shooting display, but the Taipans are far from out of it as we get to halftime. Day 3 of the NBL Blitz here, proudly supported by experienced Gold Coast. Big crowd in here at the Gold Coast Sports and Leisure Centre as well. Second half isn't too far away. Stick with us here. Kings by 11 at the half.
Play the game any NBL fan can win. Supercoach NBL. Be the coach. Challenge your mates. Win prizes. Head to supercoach.com.au today.
All right, we at Carrubbin Sanctuary. We just finished our tour. Had such an amazing time. My favorite animal was the crocodile, of course. He was a monster. That's who I am, a monster. What was your favorite?
My favorite moment was seeing the little baby Joey, the little baby kangaroo, and feeding them. This was absolutely amazing.
Yep. So until next time, Preacher's out.
Discover the ultimate in courts, Dream Courts, the official court partner of the NBL. As the leading experts in tailor-made courts, there are so many reasons to choose Dream Courts. Whether for casual backyard enjoyment or professional-grade competition, the fully customisable courts redefine how you play. Dream Courts offers an unparalleled playing experience for everyone. Elevate your game with a Dream Court designed just for you. Visit dreamcourts.com.au to get a quote today.
Halftime here at the Gold Coast Sports and Leisure Centre. The Sydney Kings 56, the Cairns Taipans 45, 11 three-pointers in that first half for the Kings ruck, and that is going to be the majority of our halftime highlights.
Well, wow, it was a shooting display initiated by Isaiah Liafa, and then everyone jumped in on it. It was either threes or layups. Of course, we saw an explosive dunk by Jalen Galloway, but Kyron Galloway has been solid out there as well. He's got 8 points. And while the Sydney Kings are highlighted as being the top team in the preseason predictions, we can see no one's going to be a pushover this season. It was really hard to win basketball games in NBL 24. This year is going to be exponentially harder. There are teams, I think, with chips on their shoulder. And I think this Cairns Taipans team falls into that category. We know Adam Ford is probably really juiced up to get the most out of this team. And Cairns pop up every few years as a playoff threat. I would say we're probably rotating back through the cycle, even though I don't have them getting there. It wouldn't surprise me, though, if the cycle kind of comes back around and they're able to make some noise.
You know that Adam Ford's going to keep them competitive too. Yeah. He's just got a certain way that's going to be charged full of energy for this Cairns Taipans team. Speaking of which, have a look at that from Jalen Galloway, who sizes up Tanner Groves here, stares him off, says, yep, I'll have that, and brings the thunder right on his bonds.
And as they say, look a man in the eyes before you dunk on him.
And he roared with delight, and why not? So 56-45, the Kings over the Cairns Taipans at halftime. Joel Peterson and Derek Rucker with you. We're here proudly supported by Experience Gold Coast, the only destination you can watch world-class basketball, hike through ancient rainforest, sip cocktails by a luxurious pool, squeal on a roller coaster, and devour a delicious world-class meal, which I know you're a big fan of the dining in this part of the world, D-Ruck.
You know I am. I'll be heading to Broad Beach after this game, about a 12-minute drive from Carrara. I'll be going in and getting a delicious steak just to put me to sleep.
Nice. Sounds like a plan. Ahead of another big day tomorrow. A big day here at the NBL Blitz as well. Brisbane and Melbourne, Illawarra, Perth tomorrow. And the second half of Sydney and Cairns is coming up very shortly. 56-45, the Kings over the Snakes. Second half is on the other side of this.
Play the game any NBL fan can win. Supercoach NBL. Be the coach. Challenge your mates. Win prizes. Head to supercoach.com.au today.
I'm thrilled to tell you about Swim Start, a game changer for our littlest swimmers. Swim Start is making waves by breaking down barriers for learn to swim lessons in Queensland. We believe every child should have a chance to learn this important skill. That's why Swim Start is offering vouchers valued up to $150 for eligible children up to 4 years of age. Parents, carers and guardians, this is your chance to dive in. Check your eligibility online and apply now to create a generation of confident swimmers. Let's make a splash together.
Want to stay up to date with all the latest, direct from the NBL?
That is enormous!
Well, download the free NBL app now. It's jam-packed with live scores, stats, exclusive content, and much more. Get it from the App Store and Google Play now.
Half-time here at the Gold Coast Sports and Leisure Centre, night 3 of the NBL Blitz, game 2. And it is the Sydney Kings 56 leading the Cairns Taipans 45. Joel Peterson and Derek Rucker in commentary. Rob Edwards has a game-high 14 points for the Snakes, 5 of 9 shooting. He's 3 of 5 at the line as well. 3 rebounds, 2 assists as well for the man they call Microwave. Tanner Groves has got 8 and 7, 3 offensive boards. Pedro Bradshaw has 8 and 6. He's 2 of 9 from the field though. And just the 5 points off the bench as far as the Taipans are concerned. For the Sydney Kings, Isaiah Liafa's got 12. He is 4 of 6 from downtown. He was scorching in the early going. And every King that has hit the floor has scored. Jason Spurgeon, the only one who's suited up and hasn't hit the floor so far tonight. Tyler Robertson's got 4, Cam Oliver's got 7, Jalen Galloway's got 5, including a monster dunk in that second quarter. Quart Noy's got 6. And Paul Quall's got 8 in his new colours. And Xavier Cooks has got 4 on 2 of 4 shooting. He's got 4 rebounds as well. Liafa's got 2 rebounds and 4 assists to go with his 12 points. Joel Peterson, Derek Rucker with the legend, the man who the Defensive Player of the Year trophy is named after, Damien Martin. Hello, Damo. Good to see you.
Thank you. I feel like all is right in the world again. Basketball is back. I can smell the flowers. There's colours. I can see you again in the sky. It's just perfect time of the year and some quality basketball being played.
Of course, you're here on official business, of course, with your agency, Promondo Sports, so representing a number of players in the competition. How have you found your Gold Coast experience?
Yeah, I get to be in that position where I love Promondo Sports, but I'm not an agent. So we've got Matty Bolero over from Minnesota. He represents Rocco Zakarsky. Then we've got Solomon Detch, who's been in the industry a number of years. He's got Bull Quall, for example, and a number of other players. So I love it because I get to go and see behind the scenes of what happens at these events. Yet I'm not an agent, so I can put the feet up, have some fun, and just enjoy being around these incredible athletes. And then meeting all the NBA scouts. That is blowing my mind.
25 of them.
I went to Brisbane Bullets training today, and there would have been about 18 of them just at that one alone to see Rocco Zakarsky. And yeah, it's fun just getting to know those guys, you know, whether with the Houston Rockets or they're with Washington, whoever it might be. It's just cool hearing the backstories and what brings them to town.
Kings by 11 as we get set in a second half here. It's a pretty fearsome looking Kings lineup. We've liked what we've seen of it in the early going. 11 threes in the first half. What do you make of Brian Goorjian's squad as we come into this season?
Well, I'll start it by saying if Kelly LePepe looks tired at any stage, it's because for the opening night where they did the event, just saying welcome to the preseason Blitz, normally as soon as the announcements are done, you leave. I remember being a player, couldn't wait for all the official part of it to be done, and then you just get out of the door. But Kelly was representing all the plays, but he couldn't leave until Gorge was ready to go, and Gorge was doing the rounds. He might have been the last man standing. So Kelly's an incredible guy. I can't wait to see what he does as a rookie. But look, so far, the offensive potency of this Kings is brilliant. And, you know, I'm looking at Derek Rucker's #1 player in the league right in front of us. And I hear you copping a little bit of flag. Did I say I'm really good mates with Bryce Cotton? But anyway, I'm just saying it's good to see the Kings doing their thing and Cairns holding their own, that's for sure.
Well, Liafa's just knocked in his 5th 3-ball. Damo, he's someone who, Galloway right back at you. Liafa's someone at the point guard position who people have underestimated as a shooter. We saw him not display good shot selection early in his career, but it looks like he's really developed and he understands when to shoot the ball.
Oh, his basketball IQ has grown every single season, and his skill set, whilst he's renowned initially for a lockdown defender and will get after everything, he'll win you the loose ball, those one possession. You know, you love those guys as teammates, but now he's gone to the other end saying, hang on, you've got to respect me from behind the arc. You can't sag off me.
And he's going to get a lot of these looks with this team.
Oh, yeah. And that's the beauty. You look at the lineup right now, you're going to have a couple of guys trying to get to the hoop and then other guys spacing the floor, and you kind of have to pick your poison. Do you sag off Xavier Cooks and tempt him to take the outside shot? But in doing that, Bull Quoll could be slashed, and you might have Shawnee Bruce, you know, in a deep corner, and he'll knock that down. We've seen him do it for years now. And then, as you mentioned before, Liafa, I'm a big fan of his. You've got to respect him, otherwise he's going to embarrass you.
Who do you like coming into this season, Damo, when you look across the NBL?
This is the team I picked in front of us. You know, I'm a big fan of Adam Ford and what he'll be able to get out of his Cairns Taipans, but it's the Sydney Kings. I think they've recruited exceptionally well in the off-season. I think Bull Quoll could be the best two-way player in the league. And then just the youngsters, Tyler Robertson, you know, he was brilliant at Portland. Kelly the Pepe, he and I both went to Loyola Marymount University, so I've followed his whole career. And true story, I was with
You both bench press the same too, don't you?
Oh, let's not get carried away. Actually, the longer you retire, the better you were. So, yeah, let's go with that. But I actually had people in the NFL asking, hey, we know you went to LMU. Do you have any association with this Aussie kid there? And so the first time I ever spoke to Kelly was a random one, introducing myself and saying, hey, do you have any interest in the NFL? And he politely declined and said, no, I love basketball too much. And years later, we see him out there in a Kings uniform.
He'd be a nice linebacker, though, wouldn't he?
Oh,
you can imagine him
ridiculous.
Charging out in the middle of a defense somewhere.
Damo, one of the things I wanted to ask you about is this Kings team, while talented, is undersized. How do you think they tackle that? Because there are some teams that have size.
Yeah, their size. Well, we mentioned Kelly with the strength, but it's what they're going to do is, do we coach and play according to who we're matching up against, or do we back our style in so we can go and put 100 to 112 points on the board? And I think that's the style they're going to have. They're going to make the opposition coach make decisions of, do we try and go big and score in the key way, or are we going to be forced to stretch the floor? Because if they're going small, it's four smalls that can all lock it down. Can we slide our feet fast enough to stay in front?
And from a strategic point of view, not many teams really try and beat you through their bigs offensively. So if you're it could be counterproductive to the team trying to exploit the Kings' lack of vertical size, as Liafa lines another one up. Damo.
On cue. You set this one up. You're right, though. There's very few bigs that teams play through, and genuine bigs that play on the block. Now you've got to be a stretch 4 or a stretch 5. I'm going back to, you've got Humphreys who can certainly do it. You've got a few others who can certainly do it. But, Bogut, Angus Brandt, they were probably the last true ones where a lot of offenses were run by getting them touches on the deep block or playing through them.
Because, sometimes you try and force offensive advantages, and it's contrary to how you want to play, and it throws you out of whack.
If you're looking for the mismatch, it disrupts timing, because sometimes you slow down to think, and that's one of the worst mistakes you can do. One of the basic concepts of defense is trying to disrupt rhythm, disrupt timing, and making the opposition catch the ball in positions they don't want. So if you spend too much time over-analysing, it takes away from what you've been practicing Monday through Friday. So just play to your strengths, and usually the rest will take care of itself. And at times you'll have a smart guard or a smart player who will notice it instantly and try and exploit it then and there.
Warnenberg in the open floor here. Steps past Bull Quoll.
Smooth with
Does it nicely, the big man.
Perth are a little bit undersized as well. And, oh my.
Tanner Groves introducing himself to the fans here on the Gold Coast.
You're spot on about Perth. When they had one position to go, I thought they were going to get a kind of like a Mitch Creek, a stretch 4, can go off the dribble, knock down the 3, but be on the block if required. And they've gone and got a shooter. Don't get me wrong, Windler can definitely rebound the ball. I think he had over 20 in one game in the G League. But
33 to be exact.
Okay, there you go. We obviously don't represent him. But it was, you know, they're going to be a fun team to watch, like the Sydney Kings, where I think they dropped 41 in the 4th quarter. I'm not saying that's going to be the norm for the Wildcats, but they have the ability to do that. And again, they're going to make the opposition teams decide what style of play they want to bring to a game.
And more specifically about the Wildcats, we recall about 10 months ago when they got off to a questionable start. Things were slow. People are saying Bryce has lost his step, blah, blah, blah. We knew that wasn't true. But have you seen any slippage in Bryce in the past 8 months?
This is going to sound ridiculous because I said it on air last year saying Bryce is the fittest player in the league. He somehow has come back fitter. And this is a true story. I travelled with him about 12 months ago. We went and did some regional clinics in Western Australia. And I remember going out to lunch with him, and I ordered the chicken palmy and chips. He ordered a salad, no dressing. Like, he is so... I felt horrible. Like, I didn't eat all the chips to just try and look pretty good in front of him, but he's so disciplined. You don't see all the other things it takes to be the MVP of this league. And part of that is the disciplines with diet, with sleep, with everything else. All those cliche 1%ers you hear athletes talk about, he lives and breathes them. You combine that with an incredible skill set, and, you know, you're a 4-time league MVP.
Oh, Sean Bruce with a big block on Rob Edwards. Cam Oliver's in there chatting to Tanner Groves. It's getting a little bit chippy.
It's so good to see Oliver back in the league as well.
Isn't it? So, as one of the greatest defensive players ever in this league, you would be looking at offensive players thinking, I got that guy covered. Who have you liked thus far?
I can honestly say that lasted about one season after I retired. These days I get a sore Achilles just looking at the players out there.
Isn't it good to be here and not be stressed?
Oh, it's so much easier sitting with a microphone in front of you and not worried about going out there and performing.
We come to these blitzes and you'd be looking at the other teams and it's just constant anxiety and pressure and stress. That's all I recall from the blitz.
Well, 3 games, you're excited to get out there. You got new teammates. Sometimes you got new coaches, whatever it might be. But this controls you. This becomes your life. I didn't realize how selfish of a lifestyle I was living when I was an active player.
And don't get hurt. You get hurt. It's like there's nothing else going on in the world except your ankle injury.
Mate, I didn't play basketball in the off-season ever unless it was with the Boomers because I was so worried. So I'd practice and I'd train.
Nice flex.
I wouldn't play anywhere. I got cut a lot. I had a lot of off-seasons with spare time. Let's just put it that way. But then when I retired, I played my first ever game of footy, AFL. I grew up, loving rugby league, still do. But I was playing against 10-year-olds. So it was the basketballers versus the footballers. I was coaching the basketballers. We played against the young footballers. And I tried running away from the 10-year-old. And I'm not going to lie, I wasn't gaining any distance. I better kick it before I get tackled it. I kicked it. This is 1 minute of the game. Boom, MCL. I had to go get surgery. So no more exercise for yours truly.
Well, I just put one of those Apple Watches on. And when I know my heart rate goes above 96, that's when I'm jeopardizing all types of body functions.
I'm at 96 now.
Great to have Damien Martin with us, Joel Peterson, Derek Rucker in commentary. The NBL Blitz here on the Gold Coast.
The reason why, actually, before we went into all of that, I was getting your thoughts on Rob Edwards.
Oh, well, he's one of many that you look at and you go, okay, would I be sending left to right? Would I be jabbing, hesitating? This is the best part about the Blitz. A lot of these plays is the first time I'm seeing them as well, on cue as well. He just keeps you guessing. Like, at that stage,
and he's
you're
strong.
Like, oh yeah, because if he gets into the key, he is too strong, but then he's too deep into the keyway that he's just going to embarrass you. So step back doesn't fall there, but Bruce has had to sag off because you've got to pick your poison, and I think at times you're going to have to live with him dropping 20. Other times you're going to say, okay, we did okay, but then is he bringing other players into the game, because that's where he could really do some damage, even if he's not scoring.
Pepe checks out, Cooks, and comes into the game. Another watch. Cairns Taipans tickets on sale now. Scan the QR code on your screen to get involved in things in the Snake Pit this season. They trail by 11 at the moment. They're going to be a hard out up there in the Snake Pit. 53-64, just having a ball swap. Michael Aylen not happy with the previous ball.
Speaking of season ticket sales, when you're an icon of a club like you are, Damo, do you get freebies? How does that work? You got a suite out there?
If anyone from the Wildcats is listening, come on, guys. Give us a go. No, I'm kidding. They've always been very generous. So my daughter, Maggie Martin, she's 7 years of age, and for the first 5 years, she'd introduced herself as Maggie Martin from the Perth Wildcats. I think she legitimately thought that was her name. She loves the game, lives and breathes it. Shout out to the Joondalup Lakers, went undefeated this season. But then my middle child, Bonnie, she's 5. She couldn't think of anything worse. So we are lucky enough to have tickets to all Wildcats games. Bonnie stays at home, doesn't want to watch them. And this year she had someone walk into her classroom and said, "Who wants to be an Eagle?" And out west, the West Coast Eagles, big footy team, who wants to be an Eagle? Bonnie put her hand up. She honestly thought it was to go and be a bird. And so when she showed up and there was a football rolled out, she was like, what have I got into? But that was our only way of getting her to play sport. And then our 2-year-old, I think she's going to be a gun. She already bouncing a ball, kicking footies. Yeah, I love it.
Got a nice little mix there among the girls.
Oh, yeah.
That's very good. Before we let you go, how do you think where have you got the Wildcats in the pecking order at the moment?
Yeah, no, I've got them second. You know, I'm always going to be accused of being biased, but I think with Bryce Cotton, the best player in the league, coming back as I look at Rucker. I love Cook, so there's no hiding that. But look, I think they've recruited just saying, okay, this is who we are. We're going to have some defenders who can get after it, but we're actually going to base this on, is Benny Henschel going to drop 20? Is it Elijah Pepper's going to drop 20? Who's going to be that person to complement Bryce Cotton? And then Keanu Pindar looks like he's coming back, you know, with a point to prove. He was exceptional last season, but I feel like he's going to be even better.
People mocked me when I said I thought he was all NBL. When you look at what he did last year, and in his absence, the impact it had on the team, I thought that it was not outside the realm of possibility. And he continues to be underrated, and I think people are hanging on to distant memories and don't evaluate him fairly.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I look at Keanu and Bryce, 2 potential all-NBL players, and last season they finished second during the regular season, but I don't think they necessarily complemented each other as well as they could have. Both exceptional players, but didn't necessarily work together in a way where they had the opposition team scratching their heads. They brought in Hiram Harris to the starting 5 after they went on a 5-game losing streak, and we saw him dropping some dimes in their last game, but Hiram's kind of that gel guy, the chemistry guy, and then you've got some prolific shooters. You know, Benny Henschel, we're seeing early signs of it so far, but I mentioned Pepper before. They're just a couple of guys Michael Harris, like they've almost got a lot of similar players. Windler, where does he fit in? But, yeah, I don't think scoring is going to be a problem, but it's the disciplines of what do we go to. If we're not shooting well, can we get into some structure? And JR grew as the season did. I'll back him to get the best out of these guys, and they're playing really well so far in the preseason.
Well, you know JR's my man. West Sydney Razorbacks, baby.
And I thought, you know, he was critiqued way too harshly last season. They did have that 5-game losing streak, but he made adjustments, and that's a sign of a coach who can say, okay, something's not working, what changes need to be made? And whilst they bowed out in the semis, you know, they did finish second, so now it's a few minor tweaks, whether it's personnel or some offensive structure or getting in a stance and getting some stops. Don't get me started on them defensively, but offensively, you've got to like what you see.
Xavier Cook's showing his strength. Damo, great to see you. We look forward to seeing you over in Perth for the opening round of the season as well. Thanks for your company, and we'll talk to you very soon.
My absolute pleasure. Thanks, fellas.
Thanks for your time.
Damian Martin, the legend, joining us in commentary here on the Gold Coast at the NBL Blitz, the Gold Coast Sports and Leisure Centre. Much more from Damo to come throughout the course of the season as part of our coverage of NBL 25. He's a good man, Ruck.
Damian Martin, if you don't like that guy, you've got a problem. You need to go look in the mirror. Very charismatic, enjoyable guy.
Absolutely, he is.
Outstanding player, and just someone who can just really entertain.
He is good company, that is for sure. You can get NBL 25 ready. Scan the QR code on screen for your chance to win $130 NBL store gift card, a signed jersey, some tickets, a KO 3-month card as well. Get NBL 25 ready by scanning the QR code on screen for your chance to win. Joel Peterson, Derek Rucker with you, 9-3 here at the NBL Blitz. Earlier tonight, the Adelaide 36ers by 32.
Yeah, that was
the
surprising.
Tasmanian Jack Jumpers.
Hey, in our 2 early season predictions, I did have Adelaide as my potential surprise packet. They have talent.
For the right reasons?
Joel, yes.
Excuse my cynicism.
I got enough heat on me right now. Don't be trying to bring more on your boy. But look, they've got 2 outstanding local pieces in DJ Vasiljevic and Isaac Humphries. Kendrick Davis is a stud. Jarrell Martin, unfortunately, will miss the first 4 to 6 weeks of the season with a foot complaint. That hurts.
Yep.
But from all reports, things have been going well since the turmoil of several weeks ago, and they showed a little bit of something this afternoon.
Absolutely. Just get I don't know, a feeling they might have a move to make yet. Who knows? The Adelaide 36ers, whether there's something in the offing for them. Jalen Galloway outside. He's shown us a bit of what he can do. Isaiah Liafa's got 18, Rob Edwards 14 for the Taipans. Kings shooting 49% from the field, 48% from downtown. They've made 13 threes. It has been a barrage from the team in purple. Here's Galloway in the open floor.
Well, you see Sydney on that first ball screen. They hard showed, rotated out of it, and I think you'll see a lot more aggressive attack of pick and roll this season, not necessarily just sitting and switching. I'm sure that will play some role at some point in the season, but I think Brian Goorjian will opt to be a lot more aggressive with those on-ball coverages, using his size and length and athleticism to generate turnovers, which will lead to great finishes like that from Jalen Galloway.
Where do you think Jalen Galloway's game can improve coming back from the NBA?
Shooting the ball, handling the ball, especially in tight spaces, being able to handle and providing opportunities in the paint to kick. And I think just his mindset, being hungrier, being more focused play after play. And I'm sure he will have learned that while he was over there and probably is keen to apply it ASAP here in the NBL.
Of course, the Bucks under Doc Rivers, the legend. Another one goes down for the Kings. Cam Oliver this time. 14 3 balls. Bradshaw outside, comes up short. And the Kings are off to the races. And making every post a winner.
And with this type of defensive pressure and the ability to get out in transition and play in the open court and make good decisions, it puts a lot of pressure on teams offensively to execute. And in that instance right there, you've got to be able to knock down those shots. Jonah Antonio's got to drill that one. It's not an open look, but it's a look that to beat this star-studded Sydney Kings team, you've got to make those shots.
And when you're Jonah Antonio, it is ostensibly what you're out there to do. Needs to be that knockdown shooter that they're looking for. Shot at 34% last year, Jonah Antonio. 17 appearances, average about 10 minutes a game. 10 minutes and 1 second to be precise.
Well done on the research. You know, there are.
I do like when they average an even number. That is,
yeah,
that really ticks the OCD box for me. Robertson and Lepepe, the high school teammates under Kevin Goorjian at Box Hill. Well, they went their separate ways to college. Galloway, step back. Groves fights his way to the rebound.
Sorry, Joel, but that's the mindset that Galloway must have. You know, he got the ball on rotation. There was a bit of space for him to make a move, and the move he made was very good. Created separation. He just didn't knock the shot down. So I always teach, get the move down, and then the shot will come.
He could really open up his game if he is able to drill some of those. Yeah, you can create the space for yourself, then you give yourself the best opportunity. 3 on the shot clock here for the Snakes. Bradshaw inside, tries to float it home, lifted a little bit strong.
That's how grown men rebound.
He's got 11 of them for a reason, Cam Oliver. And he is a grown man. He's done plenty of growing. Time winding down in this third period. Here's Galloway. Last one a bit strong, that one a bit short. 5 seconds for Bradshaw to work with. Inside to Groves, had it knocked loose, regathered, just couldn't finish. And time expires in this third period. And the Sydney Kings have opened up a 16-point lead behind 6 threes and 18 points from Isaiah Liafa. And a double-double from Cam Oliver off 12 and 11. 14 of 30 from three-point range. And they lead at 75 to 59. At three-quarter time, here's Jalen Galloway with the strip and the slam. Second big dunk of the night for the returning Sydney King.
And keep in mind, last year, Andrew Bogut, about midway through the season, was really singing Jalen Galloway's praises on the defensive end, saying he should be considered the Defensive Player of the Year, a.k.a. Depoy.
A.k.a. Damo. The man we just had with us, his award. Do you have anyone that you, in terms of contenders for Defensive Player of the Year? It's an award that we don't talk a hell of a lot about in the early part of the season. We talk about MVP and some of the next-gen awards and that kind of thing.
Magnay.
Yeah. Yep. Because Shea Illy, of course, the winner last year. Will was a finalist in that award.
I think Shea Illy will probably begin to experience some voter fatigue, as it's just something that happens in sport. And I think he may become victim to that, but I would think that this year it's Magnay's. He won't have Marcus Lee there with him this year, so I imagine he'll play more minutes this year. And if he continues in the vein that he did last season on the defensive end, I think he's a shoo-in to win that one.
I like it. Such a force at that end, his rim protection, but his defense in space as well. I mean, for a big man, he moves laterally really well. He's shifty, just plays smart at that end, does Will Magnay. He is right up there as far as one of the players that you just love to watch go about his business. Oliver's got 12 and 11 for the Kings.
And the Kings have done a really good job of looking after the ball, only 9 turnovers. We know last year they liked to take about 80 shots a game. Now, they were highly inefficient, but this year, well, in this game, they've already taken 55. So I don't think they'll get to that 80 number, but they're shooting it at a really good clip, 48 from the field, 47 from the three. Free throw line needs a bit of work.
Yeah, both of these teams played at a high pace last year. Kings number 3, the Taipans number 1. Both wanted to really push the ball. McCoy, almost a dangerous pass. Antonio gets the shot off. And Bruce has been busy. He's got 6 assists as the Kings captain. Cooks gets that to go. Driving inside and finishing with the soft touch.
And again, that's the advantage of having an undersized guy like Cooks, who's athletic. He can get the balls that bigger guys can't, as Groves just whacked in the face. No apology forthcoming from LePepe.
Tanner Groves has been in the thick of the chippiness between these two teams. The big man from Washington, played in Poland, China, Germany. Spent some time with OKC in the Summer League as well. So he's pretty well travelled. Here's Tanner Groves. He's almost got a double-double tonight. 11 points, Make it 12 and 9 rebounds. 77-61 here at the Gold Coast Sports and Leisure Centre. Joel Peterson, Derek Rucker with you for night 3 of the NBL Blitz. Isaiah Liafa has been white hot.
Nice little set after a made free throw. Cooks goes away. Sets a nice screen for Liafa, and right now, that hoop is as big as a hula hoop.
7 3 balls
Let
for
one
Isaiah
go.
Liafa.
Let it go.
Heat check's coming. Doesn't get it to go, but LePepe keeps it alive. Cook's coming downhill. Poked loose by Groves. Good bit of defense from the big man. McCoy in attack mode. Great finish. Really shifty, classy work from Jackson McCoy.
Someone who's had a lot of potential, and we see some of his athleticism, agility, and skill. Hits him with a couple of jab steps, goes inverted Euro. Jackson McCoy.
Another who's well travelled. He's played international basketball, of course, played professionally in Croatia out of college. He was with the Kings, exited the final year of that deal to sign with the Taipans and be part of the factory that Adam Ford's got set up. Kroll gets past Cody Statman, who's into the game for Adam Ford, the local, the Cairns product. Good to see him playing back in his home colours. Had a couple of really productive games at the back end of last season with the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, and hopefully the Cairns Taipans DJ has got the Scatman music lined up this season anytime he hits a 3 ball.
Well,
now that's stuck in my head for a week and I've only got myself to blame.
Well, I'm pretty sure it won't require an updating of the playlist based on some of the songs I heard the last time I was up north. Oh.
Quallen Edwards. Edwards gets rid of it. Statman off balance, can't hit. Bruce inside, LePepe. Can't get it done. Amazing to think he was in consideration for NFL teams who asked the question of him. As Damo told us a little bit earlier.
Still got the college mindset, jogging to the huddle during a timeout. I like it.
Of course, part of the sort of rule changes, interpretation changes around timeouts this year and speeding things up, so teams won't be permitted to huddle up when they come out of a timeout. It's all systems go. Now, you mentioned this earlier on, Derek, NBL Plus, some great analysis that you can get your hands on, some of the insider stats that we get access to as far as the commentary team. You can sign up for free by getting the QR code on your screen. You can get it through the NBL app. And if you want to dive deeper into the numbers behind the game, this is an invaluable asset.
It is, and they've done such a great job in the development of this aspect of the NBL app, and it's part of it that I really enjoy because it gives you a couple of other layers of insight into team performance, individual performance, and it helps you understand this wonderful league of ours just a little bit better. And I always got to break out some stats on your boy, Damon Lowry, that guy. Still undecided whether I actually like him. Although he did motivate me in the offseason to get in better shape, which I did do. So, you know, the part-time Navy SEAL does have some inspirational qualities about him.
Yeah, I might need to take some of his advice there, I think.
Yeah, did a good job with our 3-on-3 national team, the women 3x3.
Absolutely.
Bit of misfortune, otherwise I had them getting a medal.
What about the Opals at the Olympics? Wasn't that a terrific story? We know so much invested in the Boomers, but where the Opals were after that first loss to Nigeria,
they were cooked.
How they responded was outstanding. Of course, Tess Madgen announcing her retirement from international basketball. She's actually here. She's got a new role with the Australian Basketball Players Association, so she's on the Gold Coast this week. Saw her this morning at the accommodation. What a champion of Australian basketball Tess has been over such a long time, and delivered a bronze medal as captain of the Opals, and a terrific career coming to an end.
Her performance in the game against France will go down in Australian legend as Pepe goes Barkley on him inside, gets it thrown up out of there.
Charles or Saquon, take your pick. The way that he rumbled in there.
Very good.
Call up to Oliver. Cam with the slam.
And here's a call out to all basketball content creators in Sydney. Get yourself ready. Get the Kudos Bank Arena.
Buy a new camera.
Because they will be bringing the highlights. Bull Quall knows exactly what to do with it. Throws it up in the stratosphere. This lead is blown out to 22 just like that. Kings defense is tightened up.
Corin Galloway rattles one home. As we mentioned off the top, no Taron Armstrong, no Kyle Adlam for the Snakes this evening. No Alex Tui, no Jalen Adams for the Kings. So to do it without two of their presumptive starters, it's been pretty impressive stuff from Sydney. Statman's able to handle the cross-court pass from Edwards eventually. Edwards time winding down.
Bar the offensive rebound. That was an outstanding defensive possession. They still might get punished as Groves knocks down a three. The possession's never over until you clear that thing and get out. Kings didn't reward themselves for outstanding effort.
Leading scorer in the game now, Tanner Groves, 2 of 2 from downtown, which is a really good sign. Cole splashes one in.
Great footwork on that sideline catch. Got into it quick.
Liafa leads all scorers with 21. Groves has got 15, Edwards has got 14, Galloway's got 14. Groves with a double-double of 15 and 11. Takeaway here for the Kings. In rhythm is Qual. Mentioned no Jalen Adams tonight. Looks like Xavier Cooks has sort of moved toward the end of the bench as well with the warm-up top on at this stage of proceedings. What do you think we get MVP level Jalen Adams again this year? He didn't seem to be able to find his best on a regular basis last season. What are you expecting from Adams?
I think he'll be right in there. Whether or not the logistics of the team dynamics permits him to perform and do enough to become an MVP candidate, I don't know. But I think he'll definitely be, and what should be more important to him along with winning is more of that first team, establishing himself as the premier point guard in the competition. And in a season in which we have a number of outstanding point guards, Parker Jackson Cartwright, Jordan Crawford, Derek Walton Jr., James Bateman, it is going to be very competitive night in and night out to be good at the position. So if Jalen Adams can go ahead and establish himself as the #1 point guard, in my estimation this season, that's almost as satisfying as being the MVP.
You know, the ceiling is tremendous for him. Hopefully he can deliver on it. Robertson outside, splashing it in.
Hit him with a jab, got a little bit of space, and that stroke looks nice. Ball rotation on point. End result, even better.
He's left Bradshaw wide open. A foul on that play. Jason Spurgeon into the game for the Kings. He was the only one who suited up that hadn't hit the floor, so he's getting a little bit of run. 14 for Edwards, 14 for Kyron Galloway, 7 for Jalen Galloway. He's credited on the score sheet with only the 1 block. I feel like he might have had 1 or 2 more than that. They've got 4 between them, the Galloways, so maybe Kyron's just pinched one off him somewhere along the line. Bradshaw gets it to go from the stripe. NBL Blitz proudly supported by Experience Gold Coast. In gorgeous weather the first few days here on the Glitter Strip. It looks set to continue for the rest of the week. Still tickets available if you want to come along. You're watching in this part of the world. They start at just $10. The NBL website for all the details. Oliver putting the moves on. If you think about the Kings so far without Tui, without Adams, compared to what you expected coming into this opening game tonight, have they been above or below your expectations?
Just slightly above. I think defensively, Brian Goorjian would have to be quite pleased, especially with the adjustment the players made at the end of the first quarter. I think they gave up 23 in the first, and they've only given up just almost 50 since that time. So that's a very good performance since that first quarter time break. And they obviously look much different in terms of their defensive approach with the strategy. And I just find that once they bring it all together, they've got some really good guys that can get out in the lanes. I think this team can get up the floor and pressure the ball. And they've got great length, and they've got at least 4 guys that can meet you at the rim and stifle rim attacks.
It's a good mix. Tyler Robertson's fouled out of the game, so ball qual comes in. Alex Tui's another one who's intrigued. Of course, the next star with the Sydney Kings, 2nd year in the program. Put on a little bit of size in the off-season. He looks big, he looks strong. Not out there tonight. Just keeping him a little bit fresh for the remainder of the campaign, but he's one that's got tremendous upside for this Kings team.
Well, and one of the big talking points will be, what does this Sydney Kings starting lineup look like? And really, it's more a performative thing, because we know over the course of 40 minutes, whoever they have out there on the floor as a 5 is going to be very good. But there's some status and there's some conjecture out there about who that 5 may be. You know, it'll be Adams, Oliver, and Cooks. And who are the other 2 to go with it? Is it Bull Qual? You imagine he'd be the 4th. So what's that fifth spot look like? Some people are saying Tui. I don't mind that, because I don't mind seeing Galloway come off and play against second strings when he comes on, sorry. But I'm sure Brian Goorjian and his staff will have that all worked out, but very curious to see what the starting lineup and the rotations look like, in particular early in the season.
Whether Tui can play a bit more 3 as well as the 4. Driving across the lane is Malawatch. Which way would you go if you were Brian Goorjian?
I believe I would go with Tui as that starter, and then have Galloway kind of be that energy guy spearheading the second unit. And
that's a hell of a luxury, isn't it, to have Galloway coming off your bench?
And I would probably have to find minutes also for Malawatch. I've got to see what the future looks like for him. And I think with said lineup and said rotations, he could be the next wave to come in. But the luxury is preposterous that Brian Goorjian
And you've got Robertson, you've got Lepepe that we haven't mentioned in that. Sean Bruce coming off that bench as well. We haven't talked about Isaiah Leava in that. It's extraordinary the amount of talent that they've got. And in a way, and Brian Goorjian's been in all kinds of situations, but it will be a challenge to fit them all in.
I don't think he's ever coached a team this deep in Australia.
Speaking of deep, Antonio lets it go from long range.
And they've been frosty from the perimeter. 9 of 35. In most games around the world, that won't get it done.
Stepping on the baseline there. Sydney Kings tickets on sale now. Kudos Bank Arena, such a great place to watch basketball. Big crowds there, record crowds there in recent seasons in their championship run.
Wonderful entertainment. You just feel like you're somewhere special when you're down at Kudos Bank Arena.
And they have, in my humble, and I don't have a dog in the fight here, they have the best uniforms in the competition. So why not go and see them in person? Scan the QR code on your screen to get involved with the Kings this season. Get to Kudos Bank Arena. I've not been lucky enough to go to a Kings game at Kudos Bank, D-Ruck, as Malwatch finishes nicely. What is it like in that building?
It's fantastic. I've been fortunate to work a grand final in there, and that championship series was amazing.
Yeah,
19,000 in there. I can introduce you to Mr. Andrew Bogan. He might be able to hook you up with some ticks or an invite to a game. He's in the house having a look at his team, and
tough question. And we're winding down here. Where's your favourite place to watch? What's your favourite arena to watch a game? So we're talking, the arena is packed, and the home they're cheering for the home team. Of the current venues, where would you choose to be, just for atmosphere's sake?
Games 2 and 4 in Tasmania were absolutely lit. That was crazy. And also, where we sit, there's no cover, there's no protection for us.
From anything.
From anything. So there was a lot of stuff going on. And I work with two guys who are a different type of emotional than me, and Andrew Gaze and Jack Heverin. And there was a lot going on, but amazing. Like, the music is great. What they do down there is fantastic. The fans are so enthusiastic, and of course, the encore performance is just special. So
the end march going.
Yes.
Luca Brasi.
Yes, that's my number one spot right now.
Good shit.
Then I'll go with John Cain Arena in the wonderful Melbourne Sporting Precinct.
Yep.
And then I'll go with Kudos Bank Arena, then RAC Arena.
RAC Arena is lots of fun, that's for sure. Can Colin Gack finish things off here? No, he splashes it in, and he looks at Michael Aylan and says, "Come on, man."
Don't call that.
So the Kings 99 lead the Snakes 77. Big day coming up tomorrow. Brisbane and Melbourne United, Illawarra and Perth. The double for our Tuesday here at the Blitz. Jalen Galloway is going to walk the clock off. And the Kings have delivered an early statement with a 99-77 win over the Cairns Taipans. They reined in 11 three-pointers, shooting 46% from deep, 48% overall. And that defense stifled the Taipans after quarter time. As you mentioned, Ruck, they scored 23 points in the opening frame. The Snakes, they had 54 for the remainder of the game. That was pretty impressive stuff from Sydney.
Well, Sydney are not messing around in this preseason. They are stepping on everyone's throat. This 22-point victory off the back of some demolitions of the New Zealand Breakers. The Sydney Kings are letting it be known that they are coming in hot.
Absolutely, and I think Brian Goorjian, as he walks back to the locker room, would be pretty happy with what his team has delivered here. So the Taipans 0-2, the first team, or the second team to have played a couple in this NBL Blitz. Of course, Tassie lost earlier to the Adelaide 36ers by 32. We take a look at our second half highlights. Isaiah Liafa, he was red hot. Terrific performance from him tonight. 21 points to lead all scorers. Just a 3-point barrage from Liafa, and that's a great start to his campaign to really get him going.
Anytime you hit 7 threes, it's a good game, and Isaiah Liafa looks like he's understanding what his role is. He's almost like a small guard 3-and-D type player on this Sydney Kings roster, and it was just a very fine performance. Xavier Cooks was able to have an impact. Galloway came in and made plays on the defensive end. A couple of nice dunks to get this crowd rocking. And for Cairns, it was a bit more of the same, a bit stifled on the offensive end. They'll need to find someone that can generate offense if they're not able to get Taron Armstrong going. And now look, there's a lot of expectations on him, and we must keep in mind he's still a young point guard trying to figure out the professional game. But guys like Rob Edwards and some of the other veterans are going to have to really do a good job in that backcourt.
So a bit of work for the Snakes to do off the back of this one, that is for sure. They go down by 22. Their second loss of the campaign after losing to Melbourne United by 7 on Saturday night. Brisbane and Melbourne, our first of our doubleheader tomorrow, 5 o'clock Eastern time. And then Illawarra and Perth. And the Illawarra matchup for Perth last year was a real banana peel. So that'll be fascinating to see how John Rillich's team comes out and tries to maybe exercise a demon or two against the Hawks.
And the Hawks, I'm sure they'll be looking forward to getting their new signing here and ready to go, because there are a lot of expectations on the Illawarra Hawks, and this is the first time since probably Brian Gorgian was there, do they come into a season expected to be a difference maker from the jump.
Danny Mills, we spoke to yesterday, was really high on what the Hawks had to offer, so their fans will certainly be hoping that Darius Days is out there for them, and that then they can get going, the Illawarra Hawks, and have another win. They demolished the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix yesterday, so that's going to be an interesting watch to see how the Hawks go tomorrow. Joel Peterson and Derek Rucker here at the Gold Coast Sports and Leisure Centre, signing off another busy day of the NBL Blitz. An early start for you tomorrow, Ruck, but looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Plenty of fans in here as well for day 4 tomorrow. So Brisbane and Melbourne before we get Perth and Illawarra, 2 terrific games. Today it was the Adelaide 36ers, a big win over the Tassie Jack Jumpers, and the Kings started their campaign in style over the Cairns Taipans. How could I forget who they've just played? It's been a long day, right? I need to go and have a sleep. That is for sure. Back at it tomorrow. Looking forward to your company then on ESPN and KO. From all of our team here, we'll see you tomorrow. The Sydney Kings deliver an early statement, winning by 22.